All right. Yeah, JD,
I'll
go
go
ahead and
live
go, sir.
first. All right, good evening, everybody. Vice Forecaster JD Rep with you in the Pick and Weather Center with um, Forecaster Isaac Schaff, um, uh, Severe Weather Specialist Jonathan Mental from Planet Star with us this evening. We do have a couple tornado warnings to pass along to you right now. This just popped up a few hours ago. If you noticed me posting a few things a few hours ago about these tornado warnings, we had one report of a tornado near 100, 199 Street. Is that Street, Isaac?
Yeah, that looks like that is near. That is trying. Oh yeah, Stillwell. If yeah, just
And
west
we
of
had one
there.
report of a
Yeah,
tornado, but see,
I've been
yeah.
following this.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
thank
gonna.
you.
I was
For your
following that on
radar,
radar.
mine is not popping up.
let's just use mine here. See, folks, we
Yeah,
don't
the
really have many the text says tornado and quarter size hail. So this storm could produce a little bit of hail, but very little. I don't see any hail of that. So that's some fantastic news. But still, this is another tornado warning, folks. You got to take shelter, right, Jonathan? You got to go to the lowest floor. Basement would be the safest place. Ground floor, just away from the windows. Protect yourself from flying debris, right, Isaac? You don't want to be in a mobile home now, right?
yeah, I've been following this on radar fairly closely. There, obviously, we got two different areas of circulation there, and I believe you got it from the Topeka radar. The Kansas. I want to say
Mm-hmm.
real quick, the Kansas City, the Pleasant Hill radar has actually been offline. It's been, I think, pretty much all day. I don't know if it's part of the SLEP program where they have to take it off to do some maintenance on it. But I, I haven't heard from Kansas City yet, but from the Topeka radar, obviously I've been following that cell that hit Stillwell here fairly closely. Rotation has been pretty fairly tight with it,
Look at this.
um, and yeah, I will point out. Yeah, so obviously we've had a confirmed report of a tornado earlier. Looks like that cell near Holden. I think that's where you have still a little bit of weak rotation there, maybe rotation that is at times mixed down at the ground. So I mean, if anything, this is kind of your spin up situation where you may have rotation embedded with the storm
Yeah.
that may quickly form and mix in at the ground,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when you can get something spin up with that. And I've been following with some of my data, some you not share, but it looks like we got that
Mm-hmm.
still a little bit of a something new here. It looks like the shear's kind of broadening
Yeah.
out. It's not as tight and pronounced, but this
Mm-hmm.
cell still looks like you got a little bit of a comma signature. It's not well pronounced, according to Springfield, Missouri radar. Obviously, this is when you're kind of getting out of range here,
Mm-hmm.
and with the Kansas City radar offline, and you get a good gap, like within 100 miles. So I mean, you this is an area where it's out of range from some of those fully functional radars. So what you're seeing may not be accurate and relevant to the storm itself. So the location and things like that, the scan that we're getting here with some of this radar data may not accurately depict it, but obviously the way things are
Yeah.
looking here, obviously between Dill and
Yeah.
Centerview, Missouri, that's where I think, and
Ye-
obviously
Yeah.
ultimately just right around the Holden area, it's where we got a little bit of rotation with it. And I'm looking at the, I'm going to see what the dual pulse, what we're with correlation coefficient here, and obviously I'm on tilt 3.
Here, I'll
Yeah,
pull that
so
up here.
what I want,
Here, I'll pull that for you.
and looks like the storm relative velocity. I'm looking at the base velocities now. We got some fairly strong outbound winds. Uh, I'd say about 40 against like 10. So I mean, a broad area of at least 50 knots shear embedded within that. couplet there.
Wow.
But it still appears it's a little
Mm-hmm.
broad. So I mean, it's not distinct signature.
Yeah.
It's a little broad.
Yeah, I
And
know that
I'm
looks pretty
looking
decent.
at
Yeah, I was gonna pass
So
along.
again, I'm
I was gonna
pointing this.
pause for a second. We got a report of a pea-sized hail in Missouri, in
What is the
Calhoun, Missouri.
location with that?
Pea-sized hail.
Calhoun, Missouri.
It's Calhoun. Yeah, and the Ozark
Yeah,
Hills.
Calhoun. Yeah,
Pea-sized hail.
yeah, that would be. Yeah, I was going to say we have a couple of. I don't. They look like surface-based cells. So I mean, we're looking at the environment that we're in. Obviously, the temperatures
Mm-hmm.
here are at least in the 50s, maybe 60s here ahead of those storms. But I again, there, just
Mm-hmm.
talk about, we've got that area of snow, freezing rain, just a couple, like, I mean, well into like
Yeah.
Iowa. I mean, about 300 miles, a couple hundred miles away. Further north you get towards like the upper Mississippi
Mm-hmm.
Valley. And I think
Yeah.
we got the
So.
back edge. Obviously, our temperatures up here are in the low to mid 30s rather. But I mean, I think what we got here, a little bit of surface-based instability. We're following with some of these cells as they've been tracking through parts of eastern Kansas, just southeast of Kansas City, of course. We're watching another cell. Looks like. Near the Whiteman Air Force Base area. Um, I've been following it
Mm-hmm.
with it closely on radar. Looks like this is the cell that might have produced that pea-sized hail report. Might have grown a little bit upscale here. Yeah, I was going to say, looks like, I was going to say the updraft has slightly intensified, or no, it looks like it's weakening a little bit slightly, still a relatively healthy cell. Obviously, not any major indications of severe weather with that, or severe hail or anything like that. But I mean, I would not be surprised to find maybe some embedded reports of some larger hail with that, as looks like with the weakening updraft, a lot of that hail that's concentrated aloft may sink with the downdraft, and that's where you may get
Mm-hmm.
some instances of maybe a little bit of mixing with that. I'm going to
Yeah.
look at velocities here with that. Looks like we have a developing area of low level shear with this. So, I mean, if anything, it's relatively weak.
Yeah.
You
So,
get some gusty
folks.
winds at first, but it may be
Yeah.
tightening. So, I mean, if anything, you got something
Yeah.
developing there at the ground. So, I mean, obviously, all right, I was going to say, looks like it's not as, yeah. It's been
We
tightening
have
up
a
with that. Obviously, when you get weakening lift with that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you're in the path of this tornado warning, you need to seek shelter, right, Isaac?
Yeah, obviously, we're still paying attention to that cell
And we'll put
and holding there. Looks like,
velocity back on.
velocities have been a little ways holding together, but it's still broad. It's not pretty tight.
So still,
Um,
you gotta take a tornado warning seriously. It doesn't matter if it's a small tornado. These could be brief tornadoes, and they'll spin up so quickly, and you're not gonna have a lot of time, right? As if we've been dealing with this for the last couple of days,
yeah,
where
of course.
storms do spin up, and they're
Yeah,
gone. That's the thing. And we
yeah,
don't. And
yeah. Yeah, I wanted to
so back
take
to
this.
radar, we do have that
I
tornado.
wanted to take this moment to. All right. Yeah, I was going to say. I think
Well,
picking up
Jonathan's gone now.
your telephones. Yeah, but I
I'm
wanted to
sorry
take
about
this
that. Let me switch that
opportunity.
out. Hold on a second.
Most. Yeah, I wanted to take a lot of this time here to focus on kind of our broader audience here in general. I mean, not everyone viewing maybe viewing from these particular regions, but obviously, I will point out that just across parts of the Missouri Valley in general, we're in a little bit of a favorable environment
It's
where there's
fixed.
a little bit of stronger, like, embedded shear within that environment, and a little bit of you get a little bit of heating at the ground. So I mean, that's where we got an area of a little bit weaker surface instability. So when we talk about some of that near the ground, I mean, and just the temperature profiles a little bit off the ground. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the temperatures could be fairly warm at the surface, and they're a little bit colder further aloft, and it just the winds aloft and stuff like that. That's you
Mm-hmm.
may get something mixing in at the ground with some of these particular cells. But I do want to point out
Yeah.
that we
Another
have
report.
two
Okay.
different
New hail report come in from a. Okay, I don't mean to
Yeah, I
interrupt
was
you,
going to
but
say we have
another
two
report of
different
pea-sized hail,
regions.
pea-sized hail covering the
Yeah,
ground,
Sullivan, Missouri.
and heavy rain also too.
It's Sullivan, Missouri. Yeah,
Okay, this will let you know that.
yeah. I was going to say that's a sign that we got some pretty strong downdraft there with that. But obviously, we're paying attention mostly to conditions here across much of central Missouri there. And I'm going to see what corridor we got in terms of, I mean, if we get those temperatures and the temperature profiles continue to be the way they are now with all this. And again, that marginal potential for severe thunderstorms extends well into central sections of eastern and parts of central Missouri. And I think the temperatures we got a little bit further ahead. I'm going to see what the observations are just further ahead. See, I mean, the dew points and temperatures are probably just a little ways into the 50s with this particular area. So observations here. I'm going to see what we got a little bit further ahead, because there may be a corridor where we have some higher dew points with that. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, okay, Aviation Weather Center. Trying to see what the any reports we're getting at the surface, because I think we're getting something that's either stalling out. I don't know if we got we may have a pronounced warm front with that. I mean, just a general area where you get a little bit of surface heating. Yeah, I was going to say the temperature at Kansas City is a little ways into the 50s. We got, yeah, I was going to say 58. So I mean, oh yeah, we got a little bit of 60s, some profiles a little bit south of there. Yeah, I was gonna, and yeah, we've been getting some various comments here in Storm Community here. I mean, when you get pea-sized hail covering the
What
ground,
they saying?
the overall the situation. No, what I was pointing out now, when we get hail, a little bit more concentrated hail, just falling, you get a good hail shower with that. I think that's a sign that you got strengthening downdraft within there, and maybe some signs where you may get a little bit of mixing with that. So I will most certainly caution
Mm-hmm.
that there could be some that may mix in and may it may enhance some of that low level shear that you get associated with that cell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not looking for any kind of hail with this. Pulling up velocity once again. Oh, got the
And
wrong
we're
one.
just north of
Don't see
Whiteman Air
really any
Force
good
Base.
shear with this.
Rotation with that
Okay.
is not. Yeah, I was going to say it's been coming and going, really, because again, if anything, it's just mixing in at times. You're not really
But still, I would still
uniform actually
remain
for
in your 20.
Warrensburg and Centerville areas in Missouri. Yeah, along Highway 35. Again, the Warrensburg and Centerview areas, about 35,000 people in this area. This is through about 6:15. Looks like, yeah, I was going to say Warrensburg still following with this couplet that we're
Okay, let me
seeing
zoom
here.
into that.
Obviously, east of Holden, it'll
Let me
probably
zoom into
pop
that
up.
for you.
I was going to say, looks like
Yeah, all right, I got it.
still in
I'll read the text to you.
broad area.
Central Johnson County, Missouri, and to 6:15 Eastern Time. At 5:37, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Hoodin Moon East at 25. So what to expect? Tornado and quarter-size hail. So I mean, if you're impacted by this, this would be the time to get centered and get covered immediately. This is a tornado warning that goes in effect to 6:15. So if you're in Warrenburg or Cantonville area, you will need to be shaking shelter. Also, you're in this tornado warning. I mean, like I said, Isaac, the best places to be is a basement, right?
Right. And again, I will point out, again, just the environment, the way things are. I mean, obviously, this is just conducive. Something could easily spin up out of this. The shear's a little bit broad.
Yeah.
May tighten up here with that couplet here, fairly east of the Holden area. And we're gonna and looks like the way it's tracking, it's gonna be impacting here. I think you got a little bit of decently populated regions here around Warrensburg. Centerview is probably a little bit of a smaller town with that, but I think looks like we got a little bit of an increase here with some of the outbound velocities with this, and maybe a strengthening downdraft. So I will caution here, loop this a bit. Yeah, I was going to say, looks like we got a little bit of a strengthening. Looks like we got a little bit of a strengthening, probably a rear flank downdraft with that. I mean, that's where you get a little bit of a clearing, along the rear flank of that. And then that's a sign that you got some winds, something developing
turning.
there at near. Yeah, I was going to say you got that turning. And a lot of times, what that is going to do is that may enhance some of the that will probably enhance at low level shear here, and that ultimately may lead to some stronger rotation that may develop. Yeah, I was going to say now. New scan here. Looks like that rear flank looks a little bit stronger there heading into center view. But now we're getting.
Oops, sorry about that.
Still the same outbound velocities, but again, now it's getting a little bit tighter. Just saying a little bit tighter with that. Looks like that is going to be right over center view here within the next couple of minutes, but still keeping a really close eye on that as that signature that we got a well-pronounced hook on reflectivity there. That is going to be trailing towards Highway 50. I
mean, if you're in this tornado warning,
in the center view,
if you're in the warning, you shake shelter immediately.
Well, yeah, and also just saying the overall conditions across these areas. I'm putting my radar in motion here. Looks like we got looks like on the southern flank of this cluster of storms, we got some convection develop.
You still there? You still there?
Upper 50s, I think further aloft, and I mean, I think what we get with some of these cells is sometimes you may get a little bit of what we call cool pockets where that will, we get that corridor of surface space convective initiation.
Look at
that.
With that. It's tighten up.
We got some of these storms that, we get a little bit of mixing, and then that may briefly erode any like temperature inversion that you get a little ways above the ground. And what that might do is
there's a little tight there.
That could definitely enhance a little bit of that surface lifting you get, and then you get those, that mixing from some of these more healthy cells, that may be dissipating further a lot. That could enhance some of that low level shear, embedded low level shear that you're getting with.
Look at
With
that. There's
these.
something else trying to get going too over here.
So I will definitely caution maybe the
Look at that.
potential for
Something else
spin-up
trying to get going.
tornadoes still with some of these cells, but I think what we're mostly indicating here is I was going to say potential for gusty winds, potentially with these, maybe small hail, but still watching
Starting
that
to
corridor.
tie it up.
And I think low-level moisture is also something that will need to be watched closely. This far south here, especially heading further east towards.
All right, one tornado warning
Down
has
the
got canceled.
Mississippi,
One of them did,
the
but
Missouri Valley, lower Missouri Valley here, heading towards central Missouri, ultimately into central and eastern parts of Missouri here. We have we have a little bit of a weaker cluster of storms. Looks like southeast of Columbia, a little bit closer to the St. Louis area. That's further west there. Some indications there could be some cloud to ground lightning with that. A little bit of increasing velocity, some embedded shear with that. Obviously from Weldon Spring, right? I just want to kind of take this opportunity to address some of these areas in the threat here over the next several hours. We got some.
look at that.
Pretty
New tornado
okay,
warning in place.
I
Look at
think
that. New
right as
tornado.
we're seeing that there, we got another warning here for areas around Lamont and
Isaac.
Hughesville, Missouri,
Isaac, I caught
until
that for you.
6:30. So
I looked at it.
I was going
North
to say
Central
this is
Peaks.
for the this is for that cell with that strengthening downdraft. So just
I
got
looked
a
at.
tornado warning for that area again.
Yeah.
For Lamont,
So at
Missouri here, it's in
5:45,
Hughesville. It'll probably pop up on your end here in a little bit.
it did in a
And
second.
again, rotation has been looks like it's tightening up. So I mean, obviously that cell's had a weakening updraft. That signature that you're getting a little bit of mixing. So again, areas around Lamont towards Houstonia, Hughesville areas for that cell.
Yeah.
Now tornado.
Yeah.
Warning.
You need to seek shelter.
Again, this would be for this is for northern Pettis County. Again, Lamonte, Hostonia, and Hughesville, according to the National Weather Service.
Yeah, and if you're in that warning, time to seek shelter now. This is the time to get centered and get covered. Go to the lowest floor of your home, basement, ground floor, even a bathroom or closet. You're under a tornado warning. You still want to take this very seriously today. So,
you able to hear me okay?
and you want me to? Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, look at this, Isaac. Look at this. Alright, he's gone for a second. Maybe he'll log back on. Alright, I'm just going to show you here.
Alright, yeah, I had refreshed
the page. Look at that. That cell's really tightened up there.
Yeah, I was going to say...
This one's tightened up.
Yeah, I mean, there's... Yeah, I was going to say that one has been fairly tight. I've been following that cell near Lamont fairly closely, too. That one has been fairly tightening
yeah,
up.
I picked that up a few minutes ago.
All right.
So again, this is the time you want to seek shelter now. So no confirmed report of a tornado on the ground, but this one here shows me signs of some pretty decent rotation. That is trying to tie it up. We won't be talking anything long track. This would just be a spin up if we get one. Still, even a small one to come down on your house is going to cause a mess, right?
Well, again, just addressing a lot of
we just got to update tornado, of course.
We got anything confirmed from the Weather Service there?
Well, I don't have a Twitter's account, so I can't check. Do you have one?
Oh, okay.
Can you check?
Well, obviously, to my knowledge, nothing confirmed with that cell, but I will point out the environment just across much of the Missouri Valley. You're heading into central and a little ways into like south central parts of Missouri there, just along and south of the Missouri River. I think that's where you got your kind of your primed environment there. Surface temperatures are a little ways in the upper 50s. Um, you may get some cool pockets within there that may uh, briefly erode that
All right, we
temperature
just had a
version.
report of a tornado.
It's a
I didn't
funnel
mean to interrupt you,
cloud.
but
Not
brief
no.
funnel cloud was rising
Yeah, you got your surface based
MOTION
temperature.
as
Yeah,
it. So we have a report of
yeah.
a
I was gonna
funnel cloud,
say.
folks. So you need to be taking shelter with the storm.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Once we start seeing
you got a
funnels,
good
this is.
rear flank. You got a good rear flank with that cell. Obviously, I would be
Yeah, so
interested to
you
see.
so if you're in the path of that storm with the funnel, you need to take
Once again,
shelter. Ground
I'm gonna
floor,
say I'm keeping
put
a
many
close
walls.
cell here if it approaches Warrensburg. Yeah, that cell appears to be
Somebody
slightly more tight. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, those
let's
RFD
pull up
points probably mixing in.
velocity over here. See, that tornado wind goes in effect. This new one goes in effect through 6:30 p.m. So, definitely, you need to be getting centered and getting covered right now.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
Make sure you're in the basement. I mean, if you don't have a basement, you need to go to the lowest floor. Pull up our velocity, and I'm seeing red next to green there. That is tight rotation, folks. That's gate to gate sheared with these storms here, so you definitely need to take shelter.
Yeah,
I mean,
I will point out.
this is not one. Okay, change that back. Sorry
Yeah,
about that.
we've
My
got
computer does this all
at
the
least
time.
35 to 40 knots here. Yeah, I was going to
Mm-hmm.
say we got some decent shear there, kind of coupled in with that what might be that rear flank signature, that little hooks, obviously that comma shape we got there near Warrensburg. But yeah, we'll closely follow with that. Obviously, another cell here has been showing signs of some fairly tight, low level shear, a tight rotation, of course, and kind of we got those temperature profiles across much of central, south central Missouri, and well into eastern Missouri, something that we will definitely continue to watch fairly closely. And again, this will be potentially, again, this particular round of storms where you may get some cool pockets with some of those downdrafts
Had a report of
that
the
may
funnel.
briefly erode, lead to some surface space lifting and stuff. And I know we've gotten a lot of particular questions about. I
I'm back.
know some of us, some of you folks may be joining from, across the south as well. And looks like we got some more low level moisture returns. We've been following some more of that NAM guidance there. We've been interested in heading into Wednesday afternoon and evening, just across broad parts of the south. I think obviously the good news is for folks in Missouri, Illinois, joining us locally. I think the severe threat is more focused. Obviously, some bad news for parts of the south, of course. I think the low level moisture returns and convective and obviously instability is going to be fairly broad factoring in on this Wednesday setup. But more than likely, what we're going to have to watch is the low level moisture returns and obviously the lead shortwave. If it, you get a strong negative tilt, and ultimately strong vorticity that would enhance that low level shear. And I mean, we've seen some very broad shear returns, and I mean this is definitely ideal for a setup for a potential for maybe some stronger storms down there. Maybe there's some indication there. There could be instances of some strong supercells, maybe strong tornadoes down there. But again, addressing the setup here for today, mostly for folks in Missouri here, more of a low risk for storms. And again, I will point out again, I would be interested to see how much.
You want me to pull the
low-level moisture
graphics up?
we're getting. Yeah, I was going to say, I think the temperatures,
You want me?
they're in the 50s. And I mean, if anything, the dew points are kind of hovering near that kind of threshold where you may get a low instance there. I mean, the surface-based instability is fairly low, so it is there. You may get a little bit of mixing that may briefly erode that temperature inversion
Here's
process.
tomorrow's outlook. Yeah, Isaac, I was going to show everybody this while we're on air. This is our Tuesday's outlook. I'm going to change this for a second, and I'll take it right back. This is Tuesday. We're going to have to worry about this too. Look at that.
Yeah, I will point out again on Tuesday. Obviously, the lead. You got two different slight risk areas now. Looks like that's their updated outlook. A broad 2% area, mostly. I think that's driven by some of the low-level shear, but I think low-level moisture, low-level instability, definitely going to be a factor in with those storms. And I mean, obviously, we definitely want to watch that lead shortwave and how much you get in terms of convergence there with that. And I mean, there have been some indications there. You may get just factors that may lead to your more elevated risk for maybe damaging wind, maybe
hail. Look at hail tomorrow.
Obviously, a lot of instability will be fairly elevated at first. You may get a little bit of coupling in at the surface, and maybe a few tornado reports possible tomorrow. But I think a lot of your instances of severe storms will probably be in the form of maybe some damaging wind gusts at times, and also initially we'll probably see some large hail at times with.
Here's and then we got 15% for hail tomorrow, and here's also for the wind fret is even going to be higher tomorrow, 15%, and even the hail fret also too. So that's one thing. Here's wind stays. Now everybody wants to know about wind stay. I can't show you the potential, but look at here, Isaac. We got a 30% ring there.
Yeah, 30%, and it's also they got the SIG area. You get hatch area, and I will point out. With that particular area, there's that potential for, just generic form, significant severe weather. So, I mean, this could be anything from stronger, like maybe EF2 plus tornadoes within that area. Also, there's that possibility for maybe some embedded hurricane force gusts, maybe some fairly large hail as well. But I think what we're mostly concerned about is obviously the dynamics at the surface, and obviously that lead shortwave that is really going to enhance that lift. So I mean, you could see some fairly discrete tornadic supercells over a broad area. So I mean, this could be more of this could be this could be hinting for more of a.
How about a moderate risk?
Yeah, I was going to say this could be hinting towards more of a synoptic scale, like tornado, possible severe severe weather outbreak in general. That's what we're hinting towards right now. Once we get more high resolution data, then we'll
know more.
If that really enhances that low level moisture returns and that lead short.
Yeah, then here's something else.
That really does.
And here's day 4.
Yeah, I was going to say day 4.
Look at day 4.
That outlook.
I'll find it here in just a second. I'll pull it up on my.
I want to address mostly the day 3 concern here because I know we had a lot of questions and concerns about the Wednesday outlook.
Yeah, I got a lot of questions about it now.
Is trending the way it is now, and I mean,
All right,
things
we
are
just got
trending
another
well
report,
more
but
favorably,
well,
especially in the area of low level moisture. Again, I will point out
it was the same report,
the
final class.
Wednesday
Sorry about
concern is
that.
mostly what. Yeah, yeah. And again, a lot of us joining us are probably based in this 30% area. So again, I think most of again, if things are trending more favorably, especially in the area of low level moisture, you get that strong vorticity max. With that, you get a more negative tilt that is going to really cause a lot of those stronger winds. You got a good low level jet that mixes and enhances that low level shear, makes it much tighter in terms where you get that
Mm-hmm.
and that coupling in at the ground. And obviously, we want to watch, those low level moisture returns fairly closely. And again, that could be hinting, if that all converges in the right environment, something could be hinting towards, a more synoptic scale, more broad scale, rather, in terms of severe weather
We got to watch
across
these
some of these
storms
areas. And
in Missouri here.
yeah,
We got
and
to watch
again,
these
I will
storms in Missouri because
point out.
you think I-64 will see some of these storms tonight or not?
So I would expect, I think the conditions are at least marginally favorable. We're getting some of that diabatic heating, maybe a little bit, at least very limited in terms of low level moisture. I think the surface temperatures are nearing 60. So, I mean, if anything, we got a little bit of a window where we have, I was also following some of the radar data with that cell in southern Missouri. We have a few hail
Let me
reports
zoom
with
into
that,
that.
maybe some velocity. Yeah, I was going to say
Even a
that would
tornado,
set
too.
the.
Look at this little tornado cone.
Yeah, I was going to say you got some really enhanced low level shear. I think a strengthening downdraft for some of those. So, I mean, maybe a weak mesocyclone could form within there. But again, really what I would be interested to see how the surface, what's going on at the surface. Yeah, I was going to say I'm in KCMO. We had several warnings. Yep. Yeah, I was going to say we've been following with that cell approaching
Let's get back to
Warrensburg.
that. Let's
Yeah, I
get
was going
back
to
to
say.
that.
And again, if anything, I would
All right,
expect
tornado warning continues about.
And again, I will also point out, again, the surface, there's not broad returns of, favorable low level moisture. And I mean, you got that shear. It's not confined to like some strong low level shear. I mean, you get a little bit of enhanced low level shear with some of that mixing you get further aloft. But again, the low level instability factoring in with this, you had some decent low top supercells across East Kansas and everything. But I mean, if that environment continues to, if these cells definitely do hold together, we get some of that streamlined low level surface space
Look at that.
convection there further south. I mean, that could be hinting towards maybe a couple instances of severe storms, maybe a low chance for tornadoes. We're not expecting a feed worthy or anything
Long track.
that's going to prompt
These are
like
just,
tornado
folks,
watch or
this is just
anything
be
like.
quick. These would be quick. This would be quick spin ups if we got anything.
Yeah, sure. And again, a lot of us are concerned about that Wednesday setup, and I will again reiterate.
I am too, a little bit.
Again, if that lead shortwave gets a more negative tilt, gains that strong vorticity, and that really does enhance that low level shear, and it's in the right environment with really primed surface capes and elevated
Mm-hmm.
edge surface capes, but also low level moisture. Also going to be a major factor. And again, if all of this continues to be in the right environment, would not surprise me. I know a lot of folks have been wondering whether we'd see like the Storm Prediction Center would go with like a moderate or high risk with something like this. I mean, I don't think.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
would probably need to be discerned. That would probably need to be discerned very closely, given some of the high res guidance that we're seeing. So they may not go with a moderate risk there. First, I'm just looking at some of that data. If they are confident in that significant severe weather area, if they're confident in more numerous, widespread severe storms in some of those areas, with the possibility of significant severe weather, I mean, that's definitely where maybe they would go with the introduction of a moderate risk. But obviously, you wouldn't get like a high risk. That's only like a very rare
No,
thing that you
no.
would need to
But is this going to be what?
thoroughly
So is this
analyze
going to be
CAM's
widespread?
guidance.
I mean, is this going
Potentially more
to be a moderate
numerous.
risk, you think?
We've been heading towards that. I mean, probably not
Mm-hmm.
latter. If anything, it would probably be latter day 2. They'd probably introduce something like that. They obviously don't they don't issue their new day 2 outlook. I think until like a
Midnight.
little before sunrise tomorrow morning. Obviously, with the time
Yeah, starting to get
change,
some more. Yeah. No. I mean, they're up again, but we have a little more tighten up again with the storm.
yeah, so a little bit of sheer with that. I don't think a lot of people are joining us from those tornado warned areas right now. But I will point out the environment is somewhat favorable. There's not too much, surface heating factoring in, but there's a little bit of surface instability, and some of those cool pockets may hinder
Yeah.
that temperature inversion. You'll probably get you'll get a marginally favorable surface environment for some of the those maybe some brief spin up tornadoes at times. But we're mostly concerned about is a potential maybe for some gusty winds with some of those. We don't expect this to be a persistent severe threat. This isn't going to be a huge issue
No.
by any means today. But obviously, watching the situation for tomorrow, cross sections of the plains and whatnot, a little bit more elevated.
Yeah. And like I said, we'll be here.
Yeah, and again, that's just something that I'd pay a little bit closer attention to, and obviously we'll be doing it. We'll have a more thorough discussion and outlook in terms of Wednesday. See what and we'll be in coordination with some of our correspondents with Storm Community and everything, and we'll have a more detailed discussion and outlook with this as we go about these next couple of days. We'll definitely keep an eye on those storms here very closely, but I probably gonna jump off here. I got to catch up with.
Hey, I'll stay on with them for a little bit, okay?
Yeah, as long as you feel the need to do that. Again, I will point out not
okay, I'll stay with.
People are joining us from those warned areas, but it's good to give them a heads up, just about the conditions especially how that is progressing. It's always useful to do something like that. But, yes, appreciate the report. I will be back soon.
All right, everybody. When Isaac left, I'm going to take over. We still have these 2 tornado warnings that go into effect. One to 6:30 and one to 6:15. We'll pull up your velocity. We just got one report of the quarter-size hail from the emergency manager. So definitely, that's going to be some very large hail from the emergency manager. That's very large. So, I mean, quarter-size hail, folks, is just 1-inch hail. So definitely, these storms are going to continue. And just hold on a second. I'm going to take my tie off since I'm going to be sitting here just for a second. Alright, I'm back. We still have that tornado warning that continues. 2 tornado warnings continuing to around 615. One of these still capable of producing a tornado with indicated rotation. So let me pull up velocity and put the next scan in, and you can just see very little rotation with that. So that tornado warning, if you're in Heisenville area, you need to get sheltered. If you're in Lee Moulton area, you need to be sheltered. If you're in Houston area, you need to be get sheltered. Up in this Missouri area, this is a tornado warning into about 6:30. This one's still capable of producing tornado and quarter-sized hail. So far, I have not seen any confirmed report of a tornado on the ground. Only report of up to quarter-sized hail with these storms, and that is just because hail is going to be a concern. 1-inch hail. Report of a funnel cloud, brief funnel cloud. This is just, it cleared and went back, looks like went back up. So this is a, we had one report of a funnel cloud, and we did have one report over here. We had several reports over here in the Ozark area of some hail. These storms over here, we got to have to watch later for some hail, maybe some frequent clouds around lightning. I mean, I'll pull up our tools we use here for hail. Don't hardly see any, but I don't have the sight on for that. Let me check that. And once the tornado wind will lift, we'll send you back just in a little bit. I very little see any hail with these. I'll put the next scan on. Don't see any. So these storms over here could just be elevated. But there could be some weak sheared right over here. Could briefly spin up. We're going to have to watch that. If that does spin a storm up, it would be pushing into like Platteville and maybe into Friedberg, and that takes it for I-64. If it holds together, we'll have to see about these storms here. These tornado winds will continue to miss us. They'll go up to the north, the Springfield, if they hold together. I think what's going to happen is the sun goes down. Later, we'll lose heating, daytime heating. And that should help with these storms deceiving and just not make them as strong and they were deceiving. So right now we're still on air because we have 2 tornado warnings. I always want to keep people updated on this. That's the reason we're on now, because we have a couple tornado warnings in place. This goes through about looks like zoom into this to 6:30, and that one will expire just in a few minutes. So far, we have no confirmed report of a tornado on the ground yet. I'm going to make a couple more scans before I send things back. This one still gives me some signs of some pretty strong rotation. Right over here. That red next to green, that gives you very tight sheared, very strong rotation, and that's what we're going to have to watch. So we will continue to watch these storms. And right now, it's about almost 6:12. So we have to watch these cells. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a quick break. We don't have any storms in Southern Illinois right now, or the tornado wind. I've just not been seeing nothing. Let me check my Twitter, not my Twitter, but my Facebook here, and see if we have any new updates. Because if we don't, then I'm probably going to send things, sign off here and send things back, because we'll have to watch that. So what I'm going to do is do this for a second. Alright, we're just going to stay with you just a little bit. New severe thunderstorm warning in place right now. So what we'll do is check that new warning out and drill this. This is a new severe thunderstorm warning. North Central Peterson County in Central Missouri, South Central Johnson County, and South Central Missouri to 7 p.m. At 6:12, a severe thunderstorm located near moving northeast around 25 miles an hour. So what to expect? 60 miles of wind gusts and quarter-size hail. So this storm does have another text on it. It shows it could be a tornado. So we'll zoom in. This severe thunderstorm warning could produce 60 miles of wind gusts, and it does have a little weak shear with that. So that means we could get another tornado warning with this storm here. So we definitely got to watch that. And I'll check the tool for hail. And our hail count really hasn't went up, but this is a new severe thunderstorm warning that goes in effect into around 7 p.m. And we do have a little weak shear, so we could be getting a brief tornado with the storm. So we want to moderate this. I'm going to get a couple scans on this. Definitely we're going to have to watch that storm really closely because it has some pretty decent shear there. So once you get back in a little bit and show you what we got in place, winds blowing that strong. Once you get the huge wind shear like that, it's not going to take much to spin up a tornado warning, and we already had a few warnings this afternoon, and definitely we got to keep that in mind. So we do have another severe thunderstorm warning. That severe thunderstorm warning goes into effect through 7 p.m. There is some weak rotation there, so we could be getting another tornado warning right over here if we get one. So we want to send things back. If we do see a tornado warning gets issued from the Weather Service in Missouri, we will cut back in to let you know. Right now, I'm going to take a little break, and we will